Hi, and welcome back to Bible History, man. Last time, we learned about Judas Maccabeus taking control of Jerusalem and cleansing the temple. And now we have at least the beginnings of an independent Judea. So what does Judas do once he's in charge of Jerusalem? Well, it's back to old times, my friend. He's going to take his army and he's going to hit the Edomites. He's burning and looting, and then he's going to burn the city of Jazer from the Ammonites. And he's going to burn, loot, and take captives as well there. And then he's going to come back. And we're going to find that two can play at that game. And so there are going to be two simultaneous invasions that are going to move against Judea because they're no longer protected by the Seleucids. And so their neighbors are going to go back to fighting them as well. But it isn't going to do them any good. Judas is going to split his forces, and he is going to have victory on every side. The other nations are just not able to stand up to him. On his way back, he's going to make a way through the settlements of the Hellenized Jews in Judea. And he's going to burn and loot amongst them, and especially he's going to drive out the foreigners. Meanwhile, Antiochus IV has died, not in battle, but of disease. But he died when he was out dealing with the Parthians. Lysias is going to do his job. He's going to keep his 8-year-old son safe. He's going to name him Antiochus V and sit him on the throne. And then he's going to gather a really big army. And he's going to head down to put paid to Judas Maccabeus. Now, Judas Maccabeus, now that he's in control of a city, is going to decide that for once he's going to meet his enemy in the open field, instead of doing the hit-and-run tactics that he's been doing in the past. That's not going to turn out very well, because not only are there Macedonian phalanxes, but because the Seleucids are also in control of Mesopotamia and points eastward, there's also going to be elephants. And this is going to go extremely badly for Judas's army. Judas is going to be defeated in the field. He's going to be forced to flee back inside the walls of Jerusalem, which he rebuilt when he cleansed the temple. And then there's going to be a siege. And the siege is never going to come to completion because word is going to reach Lysias that he has, again, bigger fish to fry. And what are these fish? Well, there's a little bit of a backstory. You see, there's this guy named Demetrius, and Demetrius was the son of Antiochus III. Now, Antiochus III had been forced by Rome to give his son as a hostage to them in order to ensure his good behavior. And then Antiochus III had been murdered by an usurper. And then his brother, Antiochus IV, had avenged him. But instead of taking his son from the Romans and putting him on the throne, he just took over himself. And now, with strangely good coordination and timing, the Romans are going to release Demetrius with money and an army. And he's going to head on down with a mercenary army to contest for the throne, to take it away from his little nephew, Antiochus V. And Lysias says, you know what, guys? I've changed my mind. You guys can worship according to your wishes. No more of this turning into Greek stuff. You guys, peace be upon you. I have other things to do. So he's going to head back up north, and he's going to go to war against Demetrius. And he's going to lose. And so that's going to be the end of little Antiochus V, and it's also going to be the end of Lysias, because Demetrius is going to take over. Now, Demetrius is no sooner going to set up his base when the high priest of Jerusalem is going to show up. And he's going to say, sir, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but the guy who's in charge of Jerusalem right now is a rebel against your will, and he needs to be dealt with. So Demetrius is going to send his general Nicanor down with another truly large army. And so Judas is not going to be able to defeat this army. He's going to be forced to go into siege mode. And then Nicanor is going to assault the city, and he's going to take it. And when he gets inside, he's going to look around and say, guys, where's Judas? I've come to get him. And they're like, well, you know that fortress that Antiochus IV built so that his men could have safety in the city and enforce his will? Well, Judas is in there. And he says, you know, that'd be a lot of trouble to take. Why don't you make him come out here, or I will burn your temple to the ground? How do you like those apples? And so the people are dithering about what to do when Judas emerges from the fortress and walks up to Nicanor and kills him. Well, Nicanor's army goes home. Now Judas is in charge of the city. Now, according to Josephus, at this point, Alcimus the high priest is stricken of God and dies. But it seems to me that maybe he was stricken of, Judas Maccabeus. Either way, he's dead, and Judas Maccabeus will be made high priest of Jerusalem. Demetrius, however, is not done. He's going to get another general, a guy named Bacchides, and he's going to send him south as well. Now, this is where things get unfortunate for our boy, Judas Maccabeus. You see, Judas Maccabeus is out in the field, and he's camped, and when Bacchides comes upon him, his men are going to desert him. And with only 1,000 men, he is going to sell his life dearly in a blaze of glory. And the Macedonian phalanx is going to take them out. They're going to be outnumbered like 20 to 1, like 20,000 Macedonians. And Judas Maccabeus is going to sell his life dearly. And his brothers are going to be forced to flee. And the only reason they're going to survive is because they're going to cross the Jordan River. And those phalanxes were made up of very heavily armed men that would drown if they tried to cross the river. As a result, Judas's brother Jonathan will take the lead now, and he'll be the high priest. But what is he going to be able to do? Now that Bacchides has taken the field, he's driven them off of it, and they've killed Judas the Hammer Maccabeus, who was the great leader of this revolution. How will they make it? Next time on Bible History Man. Well, that's another one of my episodes. Thank you so much for watching the whole way. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I love to answer questions. And if you're interested in it, I would love to talk about it. Also, if you have any other ideas about things that I could tell you about biblical history, I'm always open to suggestions, because it's what you want to hear that I would like to talk about. Now, if you like biblical history, like I like biblical history, or even a fraction as much as I like biblical history, I have a book out called A Helpful Handbook of Hebrew History. And it's available on WisePath Books or Amazon.com, and the links are in the comments below. Now, I would recommend that you would read a book instead of listening to videos all the time, because as an educator, I know it's much better for your brain, especially if you're not an adult yet. If you're still a youth, your brain is better if you read. So I would recommend that you read that book.